see, Chakri, interesting comments coming in from not just Trump as well as Prime Minister Narendra Modi, also saying that, yes, of course, both the countries continue to indulge in the trade talks. And Chakri, does this statements really make sense, or rather give some more confidence to what the experts were anyway believing, that the trade deal is likely, and maybe by November, that is something that we can see happening, and even markets were also seen to be factoring that.
Good morning. Thanks for having me. And also, it's good to note that Trump and Modi want to be friends again. And that's indeed very good news for the market. Because that will, all the sectors which are here, whether it's IT, pharma, auto ancillaries, all these export-related sectors would benefit. In addition, with the GST cuts, the overall environment with the positive US stocks plus GST cuts will lead to overall earnings upgrades, and therefore it's clearly on a fundamental footing very strong for India.
Okay, so looking positive on that front. But Chakri, what's your read-through on the overall market now? These comments that we're hearing from Trump as well as PM Modi, could that be the necessary push that the market needs to get out of the range right now? And which sectors do you think could do the heavy lifting?
You're absolutely right. This is clearly a positive catalyst. So one is all the export-oriented sectors, whether it is pharma, IT, auto ancillaries. I think these are the first range of sectors of companies that would benefit. Second is, earnings expectations have been fairly subdued across various sectors. They've all been in a wait and watch mode. So all those numbers, if these trades progress as well, then you will see earnings upgrades coming across, including for the industrial sector.
All right. Those are some of the sectors to watch out for. But Chakri, let's talk about the IT space then, because yes, Infosys did get that cheer back within this space with the buyback announcement, and even some of the other companies who are traditionally being known to reward their shareholders through buyback. Even the stock price went higher on that front. But along with that, Chakri, globally, we have seen Oracle coming out with a very good set of numbers. The stock is almost up 28% in after hours. Along with that, some of the key clients like United Health was up almost 8%. I believe that's a key client for Persistent Systems. So Chakri, to your point that you were making, some of the export-related plays, they can be watched out for. What's your current take on IT, and where will you be placing your bets?
IT as a sector has been having a very kind of subdued outlook simply because of the US uncertainty, India's demand for IT services. Now, if the India trade talks actually proceed well, though IT has suffered collateral damage on various restrictions, implied restrictions such as visa restrictions, and if that goes away, and then second is, in any case, the other countries like EU, they've all reached trade agreements, and therefore, once there is greater clarity and expected rate cut in the US, all these various factors, when you put them together, they're clearly positive for US IT spending, and therefore Indian IT services companies would be one of the beneficiaries.
Okay, so that's the take on global as well as local IT or domestic IT players. But Kunal, let's talk about the banking space. Today we have news flow on Kotak Bank. In fact, we're expecting to see a block deal on Kotak Bank today, where in Japan, Sumitomo Mitsui is expected to exit via 6,166 crore block deal, and they're expected to sell 1.65% stake at 1880 rupees per share floor price. And this, of course, to fund the acquisition of their stake in Yes Bank. So, Kunal, a chart check on both Kotak and Yes. Which one's looking stronger?
In fact, both of them are looking a little bit more average, Sneha, because Kotak Bank has been one of the underperforming names. And remember, I think there was a point where the stock was almost at 2100. 2150 range, 3-6 months back. That was a point where Kotak Bank started to show signs of outperformance. But the way the stock has corrected post that, we've actually seen the stock being an underperformer as such, trying to just about retrace back towards its long-term moving average. The momentum is missing, the zing is missing for the stock price over the very near term. And when you see a stock getting detached or diverged with respect to the index movements, and that to being one of the larger cap names or the heavyweight names in the banking index, you see, the stock generally tends to consolidate for a prolonged period of time. So I believe that that's the case for Kotak Bank. Wouldn't be surprised if the stock, shows signs of a mild correction even further over the next couple of days. for Yes Bank, the stock has been extremely volatile. There was a move for, the stock in the very recent past when we've seen Yes Bank moving up from those, 17.5, 18 levels to 2021 plus kind of a mark. So I believe that there could be a case where the stock may just about show signs of a little bit more strength. But then when you look at this in the context of the last 3, 4, 5 years for the stock price, it's still a stock which is struggling and would go into a more of a prolonged time-wise consolidation. So neither of these stocks, comes back on the radar, at least in terms of trading perspective.
All right, so that's the take coming in on select banking counters. But with this, let me take it across to Sharad, who is standing by with a list of stocks to be in focus today. Yes, we did talk about select banking names, but what's the news flow looking like? And what exactly is the news? Sharad, help us with that.
Interesting development coming in for FMCG companies as the Consumer Affairs Ministry has ordered an important announcement coming in as they have allowed the FMCG companies to display the old MRP, the maximum retail price, and labeling till December 31st, 2025. Revised rate with the new GST rate rationalization will be displayed in the new labeling and the packaging as well. Also, Kotak Bank is seeing a block deal likely where Japan Sumitsu Mutsu will exit Kotak Mahindra Bank with almost a 6,166 crore deal. They will sell roughly 1.65% stake in the bank with a floor price of 1,880 rupees per share, which translates into 4% discount. Now, of course, from these proceeds itself, it is expected that they will fund their acquisition in Yes Bank. Also, a positive news flow coming in for Yes Bank is that RBI has approved in connection with the nomination of 2 nominee directors from SMBC and also 1 nominee director coming in from SBI. Bajaj Auto, also we see the price cuts are getting announced. They will be cutting the 3-wheeler prices by roughly 24,000 rupees on the GST relief, and for 2-wheelers, the amount comes in at 20,000 odd rupees. Even Eicher Motors, Royal Enfield, they'll be also cutting down their prices, but all these price cuts will be effective from September 22nd. Sun Pharma, also negative news flow development happening as USFDA has classified the company's Halol facility as official action initiated the Halol facility under the import alert and is resulting in the refusal of the shipments from the facility to the US. So there is an overhang in the stock when it comes to the Halol facility.
Okay, so that's the take coming in on a couple of those stocks. Chandan, what's your chart check on Sun Pharma? Slightly negative news coming in from their USFDA inspection. How is it shaping up on the charts?
Yeah, so selective pharma counters are bottoming out, especially if we talk about the Glenmark and Dr. Reddy, but Sun Pharma is not holding well. The stock has got stuck in a range from last almost 7-8 days, and the weekly chart setup is mixed negative to range bound. So I believe if any negative triggers happen, it can give the breakdown. So as of now, the hurdle for the counter is near 1610. Till it remains below 1610, it can retest the lower zone of 1550 or 1520 marks.
Okay, that's that, of course, on what you're seeing on Sun Pharma. But let's just take a look at what the market texture was like yesterday. Surely it was all about IT names, but there were sporadic movers from within pharma. Look at Glenmark, for instance. That was definitely a standout performer, managed to eke out gains of nearly about 3%. And Titagarh, which of course, Chandan as well had a buy call on, that stock as well spurt up very nicely. But Chandan, broaden the entire railway pack for us. Other than Titagarh, any other trade to take?
So if you look at the railway counter, I'm getting an early sign of bottom out approach in most of the name. Already we discussed about Titagarh, and now if I talk about the RVNL, so after the corrective move of almost 13 weeks, the stock is bottoming out. In fact, on the last week, we have noticed a bullish engulfing kind of pattern. It had seen a corrective move from 442 to all the way till 300 marks. And now risk reward ratio also favor the stock is going into the deep oversold territory. And the way selective railway counter are doing well, some sort of positive price action could be there in the counter like RVNL as well. So with support of 322, it can head towards 350 kind of level. So Titagarh, Wagon and RVNL could be true preferred name in the railway space.
Right, okay. That's the take coming in on some of those buzzing stocks in trade. But other than that, Chakri, just wanted to understand your own sense about consumption. 22nd September, and it seems like pretty much most of the conglomerates are going to be passing through the GST benefits. Other than staples, where else are you buying, if at all you're adding positions to the consumption pool?
I think the GST benefits will, trickle down, of course, clearly to the auto names, automobile, and in addition to the auto ancillaries and the tire companies. So within the tire companies, companies like Seat, JK Tires, Apollo Tires, they're all well positioned. Seat has a very great proportion of two-wheelers. They'll benefit from higher volumes. And auto ancillaries will also benefit from the higher volumes for the auto industry. And now with the Trump talks, they're turning more friendlier. Again, auto ancillaries should also see further benefit.
All right, that's the take coming in on select consumption counters. But along with that today, we will be watching out for some of these companies with respect to the seafood export, because in a major push, India's seafood export sector, there's indeed a positive news flow where EU has listed